What's up, guys? My name's John. This is Mitchell.
Hello.
Mr. Harry Potter himself, James Malins. I'm just kidding. He doesn't like Harry Potter. He thinks Daniel Radcliffe is a wanker. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have some fun, talk to him about what he's got going on, how he came into what he's doing, and just all the good, all the good shit. So, um, is there anything before we get started that you two fellas want to say to get started?
No, just happy to be here, grateful for the opportunity, and look forward to getting through some of these awesome questions.
Yeah, definitely. Just another day. Feel blessed to be here. Woke up, sun's shining. It's a beautiful day. Ready for a nice, long, productive day. And couldn't think of a better way to start it out than talking to you two fellas.
Love it.
Okay, let the James Malins iHeartAnxiety interview commence. Now, to get things started, James, we like to ask a couple questions just to kind of have fun and get the blood going. First question. You have a 5-minute elevator pitch to convince me to like teen crumpets. Go.
They're soft, fluffy, and juicy. That's all you need to know.
Sold.
I feel like it can be attributed to a bunch of things, and some of those things have actually had STDs involved. So you're gonna have to, really get me interested here, because soft and juicy just don't cut it for me. I mean, crumpets sound like fluffy. What's going on with that?
Well, it's all about how long you keep them for, you know? I mean, let's just take tea out of the way, do you know what I mean? Tea's not even in the equation. If you get the timing right, you're in for a good treat, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And as good as that answer was, I'm going to need a very good answer on this second question, because it's important to to me and my movie watching. Question number 2. Why do the British people get all the good fucking roles? I mean, we're Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, you know, Space Jam. I mean, come on, what's going on here?
Well, I don't know, man. I just, maybe you've just got to go to the right directors. I can't ask. I mean, I'm a fan of all movies, American and English,
Yeah, it just seems like every time I watch a movie, no matter what time period, everybody speaks, British. I mean, it's just
It's the voice. It's the accent. It's just,
Gotta be,
true. It's true.
Maybe it's just soothing. I don't know. I
it
can't
sells
speak.
itself.
We've got our own little personal James Bond. That's what I feel like.
There you go. Well, this is it, like all day, Monday to Friday, I'm here, man.
All right, buddy. Well, that's I appreciate you being a sport about it. And I'm gonna try to razz you too much. We won the war, but anyway. So
Just gonna stick that one there.
I wasn't even around, so I don't remember it.
Me neither, man. I ain't got a clue.
Well, I was, and let me tell you.
Of course you were. We always got that one friend who tries to one up their story. All right, so getting to the interview, we're gonna take it serious now. First question. What was your first encounter with mental health like? Did it occur before or after you knew you had any mental illnesses?
So my first encounter with anything around my mental health was in my teen years. In my teen years, I had massive amounts of depression. I felt really isolated, alone, didn't know what to do, didn't even understand myself, didn't know what course of action to take. That was due to a multitude of things, which was, bullying, self-love for myself. I had no appreciation for who I was, didn't really know what I stood for, didn't know what was, what made James Malins who he is. And to this day, I've never been diagnosed. So in a sense, for some of the people watching here, like totally, I understand if you discredit anything I say, that makes sense to me. But I know for a fact how I felt, and this is for anybody who's never been diagnosed, anyone who's never felt those kind of, had those kind of labels associated, and sometimes labels can be good and bad. So that's just the first thing. Even if you're in a situation, in a state where you feel terrible and you feel awful, that's absolutely fine, because you can find a way out of it. You can try to understand it. And when I was a teenager, that's just what I had to do. I had to sit back and ask myself the question, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel alone? Why do I feel like I can't go to anybody with any of my issues, which again wasn't true. My parents were here. I could have chat with them about it anytime. But for me,
Yeah.
I knew I had to deal with it inside of myself, and I knew I had to understand it, and it was going to come from within. So yeah, my first interaction definitely at school, bullying, those emotions, those thoughts went through my mind. And to this day, I was never diagnosed, but now I feel good. I'm between an 8 and a 10 every single day. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, and we need more of it. Obviously, there's
Mhm.
a lot of negative that's thrown
Yeah.
around with mental
Agreed.
illness. Yeah, so we need more of it. We need more, like-minded people, and I'm hoping to, we can all, create our channels and cultivate them to show that mental illness is more than just, the labels, and we can kind of show people that, we're regular people. Some of us have already,
Mm.
we've conquered it. Some of us are still going through it, but no matter what, even if you have had it or still have it, you're a regular person. It's not, it shouldn't be considered weird. It's just you. You're just you. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and what I like about making these videos, and everybody that's doing it, is that the more videos that are made, the more people talk about it, the more normal it will become. So, after a while, hopefully people won't even feel like they're an outsider by themselves or on an island because they feel a certain way. Hopefully it'll be so normal that you can just turn and talk to anybody about it
Mhm.
and get some support and feel better just instantly.
Absolutely.
all right. So, number two, James, how long did it take for you to accept your new state of mind, and how did you overcome it? Any roadblocks?
Real fantastic question right there. The transition for me, and one thing I wanted to mention about those labels, that was a really good point, is, it's not the only one thing that people should concern themselves is that if you have, been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, that's fine, because it means that it's something that you can acknowledge it, you can take responsibility for it, and then move forward. For me, I used to look into the mirror and I used to ask myself why. Why am I going through this? Why does nobody appreciate me? Why does no one respect me? Why do people say these things about me? Why do I look the way I do? And then I just literally it went like that one day. And I turned and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, why not? And for some people that might think, well, that's bizarre. If you ask yourself why not, that's accepting that you're ugly and you're worthless. But it wasn't. It was actually asking the question, what makes me different to anybody else? What makes me special? What makes me immune to any of these scenarios or experiences? So then what happened was I took responsibility and I said, it's my responsibility as to how I feel. And I'm allowing myself to feel terrible. I'm allowing myself to feel bad based off of what other people are saying or thinking about me. So I had to make a choice. I come to a crossroads. I had to make the choice. Do I continue living like this, or do I find a way to get through it? And I decided to go to the right, and I decided to follow that journey. And from that moment forwards, everything started to change. And that for me, and this is the real struggle part about all of this, is that obviously some people feel like they're stuck, feel like they're going to live with it forever. And sometimes my belief is an unpopular one, is that we can change and we can get through these, and sometimes even get to the point where we are managing it very well or getting rid of it altogether. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I stand by that, and I believe it is possible for all people. And I think that's a nice way to believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like you pretty much started getting tired of it, and then you hit yourself with an ultimatum. You said, "All right, look, James, we're either going to do this or we're not," and so you chose the right path.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Um, I think that it takes for any. I mean, this can be applied to any life problem. I think when you're hit with adversity, the first thing we want to do is run and hide. We want to shrink away from the problem. We want to blame others. We want to blame this and that, but we never want to take responsibility and just fix it. You know what I mean? We don't want to actually. It's like with anxiety. I deal with a lot of fear, right? A lot of panic attacks. And before I knew any better, I would always go into a safe place, right? Like I would go to my safe place. I'd get away from the problem. I'd run away, not knowing that you have to actually break the wall rather than go
Mm.
move away from it. So I think it's an important lesson right there that to anybody who is watching, if you're dealing with the problem, adversity, a bully, a mental illness, financial crisis, marriage, whatever it may be, run to your problem. Don't run away from it. You're never going to get any kind of relief. So great answer.
Mhm.
I really appreciate that. Number three, what piece of advice would you give your younger self before you started on this journey? Essentially, what would you change, if anything?
This is a really excellent question, a really fantastic question. And part of me is going to answer this in a way that's unconventional, and part of me is going to give some advice. The first
Okay.
thing is that I would say that I wouldn't want to change anything. And the reason for that is because if I hadn't have gone through everything I went to, if I hadn't have had that realization, I wouldn't be the man I am today. And, perhaps in the future, maybe when I'm 30, 40, 50 years old, I would then experience what I did as a child, which would then have everything crumbling down. So I had to and did go through all of those trials and challenges because it was a learning curve. It was
Yeah.
developing me. It got me to that point, like you said, where I gave myself the ultimatum. I said, we're going to do this or we're not. This is it now. You're either going to live the next 6 months, year, maybe even 6 years of your life in misery, or you're going to regain control. You're going to take back that control. So for me, it's a moment in my life where I feel a lot of love towards it. I feel a lot of pride towards it. So it's difficult for me to change it. Now, what advice would I give myself? The advice I would give myself is start to look towards places of motivation. YouTube has great motivational videos. There are a lot of influencers like yourselves who are giving great advice, asking the right questions, and helping people to better understand themselves. So I would tell myself to listen to people like you, and that's the honest truth.
Okay. Yeah, that is a great answer because everything in life is either a lesson or a blessing.
Hmm.
And you have to learn from stuff at some point. And I'm sure had you never learned from the things you've been through, you'd say, well, I would change quite a lot. I would change everything. But you did learn from it. So you're able to say, no, I don't want to change anything because it made you who you are today, which turned out to be a great person and, spreading a lot of encouragement and, doing great things.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's basically the reason why I called our page iHeartAnxiety because I wouldn't change anything. I completely agree. Would I have wanted my life to go a little simpler? I can't lie. It's been hard. Things have happened that I'm not too excited about. But in totality, I don't, I don't know. I can't think of a human being. And if you're being honest with yourself, where you don't look back and say, "Man, I wish I would have handled. I would have either handled that differently, or I wish I would have outcome differently." You don't have to say that I would change it, but you can still. I mean, as being human, you can still accept the fact that there are things that
Mm.
you're not proud of. But in totality, I definitely agree. I named this I Heart Anxiety because I would not be where I am today if it had not been, had not gone down this journey. I would never have known about mental health. I wouldn't have, taken a second glance at somebody, experience a panic attack or somebody, you know, having some kind of mental illness because the path that I was on before was I was playing sports. I was all into the male toxicity. I wasn't a bad person, but I was somebody who didn't really give thought to what somebody else was going through as a kid. And I think a lot of kids are obviously guilty of that. But it's
Yeah.
I can see, I totally identify with where you're coming from, and I agree 100%. So if you have a problem, guys, try to accept it. Try to see that it's made you a better
Mm.
person for it. Uh,
Absolutely.
Number four, how can we better educate people without these conditions to facilitate better understanding and acceptance?
This is a really excellent question, and I think that the way and again I can only come from my perspective. I can only come from what I've been through. I would say that to better educate people, it has to come from all of the other different sources. It has to come from parents. It's got to come from school. It's got to come from the media. It's got to come from social media, influencers like yourselves. And it's got to show people that, okay, they've got anxiety, they've got depression, they've got bipolar, they've got schizophrenia, whatever it is. Now we understand what we have. Now we understand what we're going through, what we're experiencing. Now let's find a solution slash an ability a way to cope with it or a way to manage it, right? So we've got, find a solution, find a way to cope with it, find a way to manage with it. Similar in nature, but in a sense, it's going to help people to lead a better life. Because again, you know, some people could look at this response and say, James, that's really cute to say, you know, oh, good for you. It's easier said than done, and you don't know what I've been through. Absolutely. I cannot experience everybody's experiences in the world. I cannot say for everybody that this is going to be an easy road. However, the truth in that statement is that if we believe and if we have hope and faith that we can live a good life, which I think, again, you know, if you actually think about it, that's not a bad way to think. It's not a bad way to feel.
Right.
At least if we have that hope and faith that we can feel better and we can be good and we can surround ourselves, just like with people like yourselves who are in a similar situation, who are there for each other and can support each other when they're having down days, then through that education of people are there for you and life can be better if you really work on it, then we can start to change this idea and this stigma around mental health and get people to a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree. I think that you were right on with my line of thinking. The only way we're going to change anything is if we get more people involved saying the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, or at least something similar, so people
Yeah.
understand that it is a thought process. Because I mean, let's just put it in a kind of a tunnel here. If me and Mitch and I, however grammatically, that's supposed to be said, if we're doing YouTube and we're the only ones talking about it, and maybe we have decent followers, people are going to respect us and respect our opinion, but nothing really starts to change until other people come forward and identify with our line of thinking and say, you know what, I agree with this part, and this part. That we got to get more education, blah 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 blah. Because we can say all we want, but we have to have more people to really get that education flowing and to get everything going. So I definitely agree. Number 5, does the internet do more good or bad in the mental health community? What is your take on it? Do you believe that it does more good, or maybe it should really be toned down?
This is a really interesting question, and I know that we had this discussion before, and actually I'm going to take it a little bit from what you mentioned, because you had a really, John, you had a really good addition to what I'd said. So it does its good things because it spreads awareness and it allows us to connect with people together. Now, my initial response to that might have been that, in some cases it can make people feel like they're going to suffer forever. It's going to make people feel like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling this moment right now. I must have to deal with this for the rest of my life. And in some circumstances, it may or may not have a negative effect. But all around and on the big picture, on the absolute whole, it's doing a good thing. I wouldn't be able to do this for you guys if we didn't have this platform. I wouldn't be able to do the videos I'm doing and get the messages and get the response and be able to help people with what I'm doing without it. I would in effect be stuck with my ability to reach out. So yeah, John, absolutely. Taking from you there, I 100% agree with you that it is doing a lot more good than it is on the negative side.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a conversation prior to this, and I, in the grand scheme of things, I think that like we talked about, the internet is a good thing. The other argument is, well, if we didn't have internet, we wouldn't have social media, and it wouldn't, there wouldn't be all these, problems that are occurring because of it. All these issues with narcissism and and basically getting stuck in that line of thinking, because all you're doing is disconnecting yourself from the rest of society. That's true. There has been problems arising from social media and things like that, but I think it's just magnified issues. I don't believe that it has created them. I believe that the internet just magnifies the issues that we already had. So it does do more good than bad, because it allows us to see these problems and say, okay, there needs to be a change. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That's my portion of the interview. Mr. Mitchell, if you want to take over.
All right, so this first one, who or what would you say is making the greatest advancements for people that do suffer from mental illness, and what do you think they're doing?
This is another amazing question. I love the questions you guys ask on these. It really does hit home and bring up some really good points. I would say that there are more people than what we realize out there who are speaking up. You know, I know a couple of really beautiful people. A lady called Debbie Gallant. I'm pretty sure that, you know, big shout out to her. You and I both know her, John. Paul Green, he's another fantastic guy. And again, like, these aren't people who have, you know, 100,000 followers yet, right? Depending on how far they want to take it. They don't have 100,000 followers yet. However, these people are still pushing the forefront. They're pushing the information out there. They're getting it out there to the right people, just like you guys, you know. And there was one thing also I heard that what I think it's Prince Harry as well and Oprah Winfrey. I remember mentioning this before. They are actually doing a documentary on it, and this is one really big thing, is that it's now starting to reach the people who have serious influence. Like, these people have got the people who follow them, people who understand it, and now they're understanding the importance so much that they're now broadcasting it and creating content around it to help people better deal with it. Because you know,
that's when it's really going to blossom.
Absolutely, and not to trigger anybody, but there are people that get to the point where they do take their own lives. I've known a few beautiful people in the past, and I know a few people who've had people close to their heart, and that needs to stop. You know, that we need to have the support in place. We need to have the reach to those people so that when they are in those the darkest of places, it can be that little light that shines on them that says, let's go and see this and let's see around it, and they can find the right people that help them to just totally flip it over and change their mindset around. And I think that's what it needs to get to.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you were saying it's finally starting to reach people who are in the position to make an impact and to position to spread the word out there. And I think that's huge, because especially in the news today, you hear a lot of stories, but you mostly hear stories of things that are going wrong or bad stories in the world. They don't share too many good stories. So the fact that celebrities are starting to get involved, and princes and people who have a stronger pull in the world than we do are getting involved, it's definitely going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Just real quick to add on to that, if anybody's never heard of it, I believe it's called The Red Table. It's Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. She does a talk show, I guess, interview thing. I've only seen it once, and it was with an interview with Kid Cudi and his experiences with anxiety and depression and things like that. So they do a really good show. If anybody wants to check that out, Jada Pinkett Smith, and I believe it's called The Red Table. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. All right, James. If you've noticed or something you've came across, what would you say would be the most interesting trend in mental health you've seen in the last year or so?
I would say that the most interesting trend is that more and more people are standing up to speak out about it. You know, for instance, I've seen people do Facebook Lives. I've even done a few myself, and people have come out about the things they've been through, about what they've dealt with and how they've had to overcome these things, and the response has been immense. You know, the response has even surprised me, is that this stuff and what people go through impacts hundreds of thousands of people's lives. And this trend that is starting to grow is that people are waking up, they're realizing, you know, and again, like, I'm coming from an optimistic point of view. I would like to hope that even though people are waking up, is that they're waking up into a point where they realize that it's not going to totally consume their lives if they choose it not to. Again, I know that's an idealistic viewpoint. I know that some people will say, James, you know, there are certain circumstances that this doesn't apply with. I totally respect and appreciate that. However, I still, until the day that I die, I will still stand by the hope and the faith that people can change and lead good, happy lives, just like they deserve to. You know, everyone deserves to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's always extenuating circumstances, but for the most part, 9 out of 10, there is hope. There's definitely something that can be done.
So much better.
All right. If there's anything you've been aware of, what would you say? How has the mental health community changed in the past 5 years? And do you predict any big changes in the next 5 to 10 years?
This is a really interesting question, and I am going to say this with a very gentle tone. is that I have been in quite a few mental health groups, and I think that some people go in there, and some of the things that they say can be, obviously along the negative side of things, not just talking about what they're going through, but they can say things to people that are really nasty. They can take advantage of people inside of these groups. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where people have gone in those groups and they've commented stuff that is just like, you ask yourself, why? Why are you saying that to people? It's just nasty, horrible stuff. And I've seen people band together. They come together and they segment those people. Now we say, is that a good or a bad thing? I'll leave you to make that decision. But until those people who are having that nasty reaction understand that it's not acceptable and understand that coming from a place of love and appreciation and care for others is the way that we step into our own power, then it's okay to push those people just to the sidelines until they understand it's not right. So in response to the question, I would say, and I would like to hope again, that over the next few years is that people will band together, and no matter who it is, they can support them and look after them. And look, like, I know there are quite a few interesting people out there. I've worked with some very interesting people when I used to work in the prison service. And if somebody is willing to change to a certain degree, this is a very difficult thing for me to say. If somebody is willing to change to a certain degree and they're willing to let go of all of the stuff that they've done, they're willing to let go of hurting people and making people suffer, like burgling people's houses and stuff like that, then I think that those people deserve a chance. If someone has stolen from someone's house, sometimes maybe we don't know the circumstances. I've met a lot of good people who have been in and out of prison who are now phenomenal and outstanding people because they've had and they've understood how to change. And I think that if we understand that all people can do that, then these groups and this push and what will happen in mental health is that people will start to support each other, and they will start to, no matter who it is, no matter what they've been through. For instance, somebody who's robbed somebody could have anxiety and depression, and if somebody catches wind of that, they'll just push them to the side, and people won't get the help they deserve based off of their past actions. No, it wasn't right. No, they shouldn't have done that. However, we've all done bad things to people, right? We just have, and until we've woken up, we've all done terrible things to people in some circumstances. But we can change, and we can come from a different place. So that's what I hope.
That is a very interesting point. I mean, like, where do you draw the line on that? I mean, like you said, burglarizing someone's home or breaking in a car, those are all forgivable acts and definitely, deserve a chance to change and turn their life around. But when you get down to like rapists and murderers, and you still give those people a chance after how long, or when do you say it's okay for them?
What you said right there was perfect. A forgivable act. In fact, you just said that absolutely fantastically. That was perfect. Then you ask the question, what's the line? And I think that's a question for an entirely different video. That will be a video in itself. What's the line? And I think you said that really well.
Yeah, definitely. There's like you just said, there's forgivable and then there's unforgivable acts.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that for now.
I just want to add quick before we get on to the next question. I'm sorry, but I really want to say this. People that are in our community, as far as the prediction of what's been happening and what's going to happen, I think one of the things that people need to watch out for is in these groups, there are certain people that are taking advantage of the mental health community, using it as a platform to either, to be a predator or to say hurtful and mean things. So in the past it was, frowned upon. Don't let anybody know that you're in the mental health, don't let anybody know what's going on. And now it's becoming, sort of this thing that we're going to have to combat in the future, where people are using it as a label to protect themselves or to use it to prey upon other people. And it's not right. It's not, you can go into any mental health group that has, thousands of people, and there's always going to be a conversation at least once a day where somebody was removed for being hurtful, overly hurtful, aggressive, hate speech, whatever, preying on the women or men in there to meet, or, just saying all kinds of outlandish things. I just want to make sure people understand that the way that we, enact change is by doing what we're doing now, and let people understand that there are others who are taking charge of their lives and not using mental health as a shield. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So what do you think what do you think are some common misconceptions about mental illnesses, and what do you think we could do to combat these misconceptions and communicate more effectively with everybody out there to get them to understand?
I'm really happy you asked this question, and what I'm about to say, it might interest some people because it kind of goes against, shall we say, the grain. It kind of goes against
Okay.
it. I want people to think of mental health as we have our physical health, whether we go down the gym, whether we have leg, hip, shoulder issues, whatever it is, all over our body. We have physical health and we have mental health. Now, mental
Okay.
health could be an absolute sound of mind. You could have the foundations of your life totally in place. You could be a strong, independent person. Anything that comes your way, you've got a solution for it. Anything that comes your way, you've got an answer for it. Or you could be suffering with depression. You could feel terrible when you wake up. You could feel terrible when you go to sleep. You could feel like there's nothing out there for you but darkness and misery. Both of them are exactly the same. There's different levels of mental health and physical health. So instead of the word mental health literally meaning the bad side of things, I would like for people to turn to the good side as well. So you start hearing people saying, I have good mental health, and I have mental health that, or I've been able to get there. Sort of what that does is that when people hear the phrase mental health, they don't just think, because I know that some people do this. We've seen it in the groups, right? Some people say, oh, here we go again. Someone's going to start moaning about something, this, and that. And instead of that, having people do that, you've got it saying, okay, let's listen to this because,
Yeah.
somebody here might need help. Somebody here might need to understand how to get to that good and from the bad to the good side of health. So maybe my explanation there was a little bit wrong, but my point from it trying to be is that so that again it opens up the doorway that people can go from a state of mind that's depressed, perhaps have anxiety, to a point where they still have anxiety but they're in control. Some people aren't able to leave their home. It would be great to see people be able to leave their home, interact with people, and have management over those feelings of fear and anxiety, I think.
That's a great point, and it honestly makes me think about the fact that we have yearly physicals we go to for the doctor to check up on us, but where's our yearly mental uh,
There we go.
checkup, if you will? Nobody ever takes the time out to go do that unless you go out on your own and seek a therapist.
That's
Um,
it. Perfect.
but you never, yeah, there's no tests, there's nothing just to check up on you and see how you're doing. But I didn't. I, I guess it might have just been me. I didn't quite get a clear answer for the actual question though. About what we can do to combat these misconceptions. What we can do. I guess we're probably doing it now. But did you have any other thoughts of what we can do as a group, as a team, to get it out there?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I did miss that. I apologize. I would say things like this. This stuff
Yeah.
is amazing. Awareness, doing videos, creating content for people, so that when people feel terrible and they see a 1 minute, a 1.5 minute, 2 minute video, and it says how to feel better when you're anxious and depressed, might even be one I might create, right? Then people can look at that and think, okay, so I can do this, or okay, I feel terrible. These are the steps I can take. I can go to John and Mitch. I can go to iHeartAnxiety. These are places where I can go to be and feel accepted and receive the support and help that I truly deserve. And I think
Yeah.
that that's one way to combat it is to again spread awareness and open up groups where people can go and be themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge step, and hopefully, if people take the time to get into get into things like this, get into groups like this, by the time they turn the video on to the time they have to step away, they feel better already. I know it happens to me. It's a fact. It really happens. I'll start these videos not feeling motivated or wanting to, but by the time we're done, I always feel 100%. I always feel ready to go to take on the day.
Yeah,
So it really does work wonders.
love it.
Absolutely. I wanted to add real quick. I think that the whole misconceptions and communication thing is really simple. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? So, um, the difference
Right.
is that you always combat the other side. Well, mental health isn't real; it's all in your head. 90%.
Hmm.
You just gotta do it. And to those people, I just have a simple comeback. I mean, you breathe air, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see it? No. Well, then how do you know it's there?
Mm.
It's in you. And it's not.
Such a perfect point. It sums it up beautifully.
Yeah.
And it's not to meant to make anyone feel inferior or not, not smart. But when you start to accuse other people of what they're doing, because I think in for some reason humans are built to always react to the things that people are saying and take them personally. We're always built to, you know, I have like if you were talking to me and you said, "Hey John, do you want to go out this weekend?" And I say, man, I'm having a lot of panic attacks lately. I just really, I can't get out this weekend. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to decline. A lot of people, almost 99% of people, maybe not 99%, but a lot of people say,
Mm.
will look at you and be like, if you didn't want to come out, that's all I had to say. You didn't have to, you don't have to, what did I do? What am I doing to you? Why are you treating me like this? They always see it as a personal attack, and with
Mm.
mental health, it's so much more important to realize that it is a real thing. And yeah, we don't have it's not on the same level yet, health wise as a yearly checkup for your heart, your body, whatever. But it will be once once
Yeah.
people understand that this is a standard, this is a health standard, especially now with the internet, like we spoke about earlier. Um, People just need to realize that if you have somebody with a mental illness in your life, they are not doing this to you. This is not them. Some people obviously this isn't a it can't this isn't a one cookie cutter for everybody, but most of us are not doing this to you. So please just understand if you have somebody, they're not trying to make your life miserable. This is them trying to cope with their condition. And if anything, if you wanted to go out and it was you and him or whatever, why don't you go to them and help them through the process? I mean, just just know that we are not doing this to you and try to be a little bit more empathetic to the situation.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And it's a good point. Like we were just talking about, it's not something you can see. Say you cancel your plans with somebody because you had the flu, and they're automatically going to be like, "Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I hope you get to feeling better."
Exactly.
Yeah.
But say you cancel your plans because you're having a bad couple of days, you're pretty depressed, you're in the slumps, or your anxiety's through the roof, and you just can't do it. They're not going to take that the same, and they'll be a lot more apt to judge you before feeling any kind of empathy,
Yeah.
and just because they can't see it. And it's just funny how important it is. Like James was saying, you have your physical health and you have your mental health, but it's not viewed the same in everybody's eyes.
And this is the interesting thing, and this is kind of this isn't a good a point as what you guys have just made. But take scientists. When they said the Earth was round, everyone laughed at them. When they said that we don't revolve around, or the sun doesn't revolve around us, everyone laughed at them until they proved it. And you ask yourself the question: what is it going to take to prove to some people that this is reality? I know I can empathise. I've been through it. In the
Yeah,
past, I would lash out with people. I was miserable. I could swear right now to tell you how terrible I felt. I've been in situations where the tears have been pouring from my eyes, and I'm just literally, my whole body feels like it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But so it's only, and for some people, it's only until they can experience that they appreciate it. But yeah, no, excellent points, guys. It really is.
heck yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna get this last question in. I'm actually getting pretty low on battery, but so the last question is, you've came a long way. You've overcome a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, and you've made your life just a 180 and made it so much better. And so, what are some projects that you work on now in your life, and what's some day-to-day things that you would like to let people know you do, so they can have, just as well, hopefully the same outcome?
Yeah, no, absolutely. For a start, I do a lot of videos and I pop a lot of content out there. I got a beautiful response, and I appreciate everybody who follows me. So anyone who's watching this, if you'd like to follow me, please feel free to. I believe John and Mitch, there will be the links around this video somewhere for them to click on them.
We'll have a
Oh
link.
yeah,
Yeah, fantastic. So follow me on all, anything YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube. I've got hundreds of videos and content across Facebook. All of that kind of stuff. I pop a lot of, and all it does is it helps you think different. It takes you from where you are right now, and it says, have you thought about this? Have you thought about
okay,
seeing it like this, and flips it around. Also, I've got a couple of courses as well, very inexpensive, couple of courses you can go through. One of them, the 10 Keys to Life, and one of them, the Foundations of Life. And I'm happy to answer any questions you
excellent.
guys might have on that. So thank you for the shout out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you being with us today. Um, Honestly, I wanted to right before we get and we end the interview. This last project that is probably the biggest one that you've undertaken. Is that correct? The last one that you just put out, the Foundations of Life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Why don't since this is kind of your masterpiece so far, why don't you give the folks at home that are interested in maybe taking a course that will enrich their lives, give us a little synopsis, a little preview of what that's about.
Absolutely. So what that course does is it gives somebody the tools and the perspective necessary to better certain parts of their life. So we talk about relationships. There's a chapter on mental health. There's a chapter on mastering yourself. There's a chapter on
Okay.
mastering people, because a lot of our lives is dictated by the relationships we keep, right? That's
Yeah.
a fairly large NLP practice right there. So it dives deep into all of those. It shows you how to have better relationships. It shows you how to deal with slash manage and cope with certain aspects of mental health. It shows you how to deal with people. And the final chapter number 3 is fulfillment. So it guides people along the path of finding their passions, finding what makes them have that fire in their belly, right? Starts to bring up that passion, starts to bring up that other feeling, so that it starts to combat the negative feelings and feeling down and feeling upset that there's nothing out there for them. So it really looks into all 5 of those aspects of life.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. That's really awesome, James. And
It definitely sounds worth taking a look and buying, and definitely could help. And that's something you could probably watch over and over again anytime
Absolutely.
you're sitting down, and you could watch the same episode over and over, and it'll still help.
Definitely.
yeah, James, I appreciate you being on here. Right now, most of us, starting out like we are, we don't get a lot of recognition, so we kind of have to network and and talk to each other, and kind of like I said before, you know, gather together to unite to get the message out. So again, I appreciate you taking the time and doing this with us, and of course, Mitchell over there, taking his time before he has to go to work and all
Absolutely.
that good stuff. Uh, but yeah, that's Mr. James Malins. This is Mr. Mitchell Brown. I'm John Dahl. Interview from iHeartAnxiety. We appreciate anyone who comments down in the section. So, we definitely appreciate it. Go check out James, and we'll have all his links down there. He's a great guy.
Yes.
We can't wait to continue our relationship with him, and hopefully we can do some more videos in the future with James. Uh, so we appreciate it. I'm John. That's Mitchell. That's Mr. James Malins. We will talk to you
All
Thanks
guys.
right,
so much,
guys.
guys.